Masayu. Welcome to the Cosmos, the podcast for curious souls, open minds, traveler hearts, and the wild range of culture. My name is Kim, I'm your host, and I'm very excited to go into this episode today. Hey you, hey you. Welcome to the Cosmos. It is a podcast where I'm going to deep dive into different cultural aspects. I want to take on curious souls on journeys to be also able to look around them and see the world in a new perspective. Be curious when you are traveling. So also the traveler hearts are invited to this podcast. And I'm super excited because actually that's going to be the second episode today here with Kendy Gable. And I'm so excited also because she represents so many parts or brings so many parts into this podcast today, which are going to be also represented while this podcast is going to grow and take on this journey. So I'm excited. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's my honor.
So for all of you who don't know her yet, she's a singer-songwriter. She is also doing coaching, prenatal singing coaching. I would like to let you go into a little bit deeper and explain it to us. Sure. So the aspect we are going to discover today is music and how much culture is related, how much music is related to culture. And especially how it has been for you coming from the States, coming to Germany, and also taking into account your own journey. So let's start with you. Like, who are you and how did you come to music? Right into it.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So, yes, my name is Kendy Gable. I grew up in Pennsylvania, so the east coast of the U.S. My family are farmers, and in my life, I grew up always singing. So music was always a part of our life. And singing from being on stage to also in the back fields of my family's farm, singing was always a part of me, and music as well. So as my journey through life unfolded, that would be a whole podcast. So I'll just jump to the present moment. I fell in love with my now husband, moved to Berlin in 2017. And, while here, I am a singer-songwriter. So writing music and singing music is the core of my life, my work life and passion. But also I love to teach voice and teach singing or coach or guide people on the journey of really uncovering their voices and feeling their voices. For so long, we have put music as this extremely performative part of life, especially I feel like in the Western world, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. But what I have found through my life and through my work is that music is unbelievably transformative. And if we look at, especially to other cultures or more into indigenous cultures, music is part of the day. They rise with a song. They grieve with a song. There's joy in singing. There is, for example, in Indonesia, a Geburtshaus or a birth house that the midwives sing. They sing to the women who are giving birth. And so for me, this all resonates so deeply. Mm-hmm. I am a performer, yes, but not an entertainer. Mm-hmm. But for me, the whole view of my life or my work is held together by humanity and searching for what is human and what is humanity. And music is something that all of us create so beautifully. Every culture, if we're talking about cultures, there isn't a culture, at least that I am aware of, and maybe someone can write and say, I know of one, that music hasn't been a part of. I mean, there are places, of course, where they're not allowed to have music anymore, but that doesn't mean that it didn't once exist, and that it is so formative in the building blocks of their lives and of ours too. And if we start even thinking, birthdays we sing. Yeah. There's the same songs for weddings, the same songs for celebrations, New Year's Eve. We still have these very small glimpses of music that is interwoven into our lives. And so for me, I just want to, bring the awareness that what music can give us, what singing can give you in your entire humanity and in your body. And so that is, a small part of who I am and what I do. It is work that I'm very honored to do. And
there's so many different aspects I want to jump into. I would like you to take us back to the moment you said singing was always a part of your life. And I sometimes observe children that they are, I don't know if it's consciously or unconsciously, but they are just singing. Like they walk and they sing. And I have been doing that like quite until I was a teenager, sometimes being on the bike and singing around, And what I want you to take us into, what do you remember, like the first moments when you were sung to or where music were already as a child guiding you, and it was kind of like this, okay, I need to get deeper into that. I need to study it. Like how was this process?
I will say one of my favorite memories that really I hold on to so dearly, especially since I live so far from my family, is the memory that I was always, in the mornings, my father would wake us up because my mom was still in the barn working, and he would always be singing. Oh, wow. Good morning, it's great to be alive. And I sing that now to my children to wake them up. Actually did that this morning. But also, when they were cooking, they would always throw in my name in a song. They would just be singing a regular song, but throw in Kendy or throw in my brother Aaron. And so it was just a part of life, singing. So it never seemed this special thing for me. I would say when I was a teenager and when I began to study classical voice with a fantastic professor who I still actually email, Mr. White is his name. And it was there when we were singing more sacred songs or songs that really have lasted, that we've had now for hundreds of years, that I realized the depth of these words, the importance of these tones, and that I really wanted to have these songs within me and to be able to share them. So I would say it was through that work that it began. And then it wasn't until college when I started writing my own music that then I really felt how much a song can change and shift someone's being.
And when you talk about sacred songs, it's quite interesting because what I feel now coming back to Berlin and seeing all these singing circles, I haven't observed that before pandemia. Like I don't know if it has been, maybe was not in my field, but nowadays it's all around the corner. Why do you think there's this like development right now? And also we are actually playing, or there's songs from other traditions like India with the kirtan, or kind of like Brazilian indigenous songs and so on. Why? What is that? I would like to have your take on that.
Well, it is amazing how many people are beginning to sing. People come to me all the time. I've never sang, but I really want to because I feel really good. And so I find that it's so beautiful how many singing circles are coming up. It's great. And just on the use of the songs, I know personally in my work, I love to use mantras. And also I use a lot of songs from the Lakota people or the Algonquin people. And I find that these songs, also with lullabies, they call to me because these were songs that were written with absolutely no commercial value in mind. They were written to heal. They were written to soothe. They were written in moments that people were feeling really close to whatever God they worship. And I feel that it's in these songs that there is so much wisdom that can be felt. I mean, even in these ancient Sanskrit mantras, what is incredible is that, Sanskrit is one of the oldest languages that we still have access to.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And so when you sing a mantra, you don't even need to know what these words mean, but you feel them. And they change you and they shift you because of their vibration, the tone, that that you feel, that humming within your lips. And so I think that people, especially us here in Germany, and I'm sure in the United States, it's the same thing is happening, is that we're being called to these more ancient songs because of their value was written for people, not for money, not for fame. And they're just these incredible songs that are to hold us and to support us.
You were going into something which I also, was kind of like the original when we first contacted, the lullaby part, because I never have been with a teacher, and I did a course with her. So we are getting into that. Of course, in the end, you get the contact. So if someone is in Berlin, also online, she's giving really incredible courses. But one part is you were singing a lullaby with us, ein Kinderlied. And for me, it's quite interesting because I feel like, I guess nowadays, I don't know how it is, but yes, I have been a child. My mom was singing too. My family, until now at Christmas, we sit around and we sing together. And so it has been quite a major part. And what I found so interesting that you pick lullabies from all around the world. And in that discovery, as you said to us in the course as well, is like, everywhere in the world there are lullabies. Like there's not a culture there's certain things like 9 months is the regular time of a woman until she gives birth in every culture.
Yes.
And then in every culture, as you said, music, yes, only it was maybe forbidden. And then there was like the underground music, like for example, rap music, how it was developed. It came from the underground because there was a revolution happening. Yeah. But they're also lullabies. And so how did lullabies caught your interest?
Well, first, a little fact about lullabies is that you can hear, say, for example, 3 pieces of music, let's say from Iran, being sung in Farsi. And you can choose which one is the lullaby. Because all throughout the world, lullabies usually have the same time frame and the same melodic movement. And so the majority of human beings can choose a lullaby or can say that is the lullaby in the music. So we have this, obviously, this innate rhythm about us, or melody, this soothing, calming melody that is written through lullabies the world over. Also, with lullabies, I love that it's majority, and I would say up until maybe now with recording, it's always been an oral tradition. So, of course, there are now lullaby books, but really up until, I would say, the mid-20th century, it has been an oral tradition. And these are songs that we carry with us. We carry with us from the time that we are in our mother's wombs. And the lullabies, so I have a friend who I'm working with, and we have a project. It's called The Earth Needs Lullabies. It needs these songs of love and of soothing, because lullabies, they were written not just for soothing the baby, but also the person who is singing it, usually the mother. And that's why sometimes there are dark lullabies, especially more in the Spanish tradition. The words are maybe not words you would think would be sung to a child. However, the baby doesn't understand those words. They hear those melodies and they hear how speech is being created, but it's those words that the mother is able to sing out and say, I'm feeling this anxiety. I don't want to feel this anymore. And then anytime you voice a fear, it's gone. This is the beauty of the voice, because we take what's in us, in this inner darkness within us, and when we use our voices, it comes out and then becomes a part of the material world. And so I find lullabies to be just a perfect song when working with voices, no matter if it is an opera singer or someone who is just beginning to be able to open their mouths and make a tone because of this soothing nature and this supportive nature. It's also the majority of lullabies, especially in the more indigenous that we're coming from, maybe or Eritrea, or again, this Lakota lullaby that I love. The words, the sounds, again, they fill you, that you don't even have to really think about what the words mean. You just let the sound of your voice calm you, and you can turn off your thinking brain for one moment in time and then enjoy this. Just enjoy your voice and the melody and the sound of this ancient song that's been passed on for who knows how many hundreds of years. So I find that I feel very connected to other humans, to my ancestors, and to those that are coming when I sing a lullaby.
Would you like to share your favorite lullaby? I know it's not, we are like maybe in the middle, but I still feel it's really fitting right now.
Yeah. Oh goodness, I have so many, but maybe I share an indigenous one. This
Whatever
one
it feels good for you right now.
So Masayu, this lullaby comes from Eritrea. And the translation is sleep, sleep, baby, sleep, which most of them are this way. It sounds like this. Masayu, hey you, hey you, hey. Masayu, hey you. Masayu, hey you, hey you, hey. Masayu, hey you, hey.
Beautiful. Wow. Oh, and as you said, it's like it's directly soothing. It's directly this moment of calm that it, even though I didn't understand the words, it's just yes.
Yeah, the power of music.
Absolutely. But I would love to know in that context as well, like how did you, because you said until basically the mid-20s, there was nothing really written down. It was something orally given to the next generation. So how did you study lullaby? Like, I mean, did you go to everyone and was like, how did you sing to your children? Like, or what did you sing to your children? Or how, I mean,
obviously now there's a huge resource on the internet. I mean, you can really put anything in and there you go. It's all there. But I do love to collect lullabies. So I have reached out to friends from all across the world asking for their lullabies and their songs. There's just, I get 2 or 3 each time. And this one I remember my mom sang to me, or my grandma sang to me, or my dad sang to me. And then the other work I've just done with my own research through friends. And also I find I collect these lullabies also for the project I'm working on, but also with the prenatal singing. So the people that I work with in the prenatal sessions, of course, they love learning all kinds of lullabies. So there's also German lullabies in there. Lallelu, love that one.
Nur der Mann im Mond schaut so. But don't you think that, for example, is one, I thought about it afterwards because my sister, she studied sociology and she was analyzing them on the message behind, which is quite interesting. And in that, she basically said to me, like, the man in the moon, or the man in the moon, who is that guy? Because it's like there's a scary part behind it when she said from that perspective, also when you look, for example, into fairy tales. another totally different.
Oh gosh, this is a whole other podcast. This is a whole other 10 podcasts.
But in that, but you said something, and I want to pick that up at that stage again, which I found quite interesting. That a lullaby didn't always wear like kind words. It was also to soothe the mother. So this is that part about it.
Yeah, to voice those fears. There's a beautiful Georgian lullaby, and it's about the fear that the father has gone, and will he come back? We don't know. There maybe was war or he was traveling far, and so obviously that lullaby is coming from a mother's fear. I mean, the baby is in the mother's arms. It's not wondering, will my father come back? I'm pretty sure he's going to come back. The infant has that trust. And so this is when we voice our fears and we can use our voice. This is when also you realize the importance of vocal work and singing in general, which I believe is also another podcast. But I love this cultural red thread line that is running through all of us, especially with lullabies.
I want to jump into the present moment now, and also a little bit into weaving it with your past. We were talking about different cultures, not only in the sense of, let's say, the culture of the Americans and the Germans. And then because even in these countries, we have so many subcultures.
Yes.
And then moreover, you were saying, and I would love you to tell that to the others as well, your way to get here to the studio. And let's say your cultural diverse travel through time zones in Berlin, which it is a city. You actually experience a lot of culture, especially nowadays with people from all over the world, and also the city itself and its history. So how has it been when you arrived here, also coming from a farmer's family, now being in a big city? You already have been traveling, of course, you have been performing, but then you were in Berlin with the German culture. Being a musician. So what was that for you? And how did you perceive also this? But let's start with the journey to here.
The journey to here was a bus ride, a train ride, and a tram ride. So it was about an hour and 15 minutes. It's half hour by car, but with public transportation a bit more. But it was, from Niederschönhausen to Marzahn, it is a trip. For sure. But this is one thing I've always loved about Berlin as well. There is a lot of history here, and you can travel through that history. On my train, I also heard so many different languages. I heard actually even different accents of German now, which I'm able, after 7 years, to be like, oh, that's definitely somebody from the South, or that sounds like a Berliner. I heard Arabic. I heard Vietnamese being spoken. I myself am speaking English. I'm married to an Italian. So when people hear us speak, they're wondering, oh, wow, where are these people from? And this is the beauty of Berlin as well, and this place coming together of all these different cultures. And I will say, coming from the U.S., it's Germany is always, it's not that much different. There are some cultural things that, of course, at first were a bit oh, that's how it's done here. But it wasn't, completely out of, context. I mean, it was in the U.S., people bag your groceries for you, and they don't here. And it's you have to really rush. And so, but you, of course, learn those things. Those are easy. That's an extremely easy cultural transition. Of course, the language up until probably 2 years ago was very difficult for me. But I will say that once I learned to speak German better, then there's so much of the culture within the language. And to be honest, it makes me embrace this culture even more. The more I learn the language, the more I love it. The more I mean, obviously, Rilke is one of my favorite poets. So, of course, I've always read him in English, but then to be able to also read, Ich lebe mein Leben in erwachsenen Ringen, and to read that in German and be like, oh, like,
get it.
It just sits there, you know? And so, again, what is, this podcast is beautiful. What is culture? It's music, it's language, it's these sounds that we have and what keeps it together. And so I find, even in my language course, we were all from all over the world, and we were all coming together and learning German. And of course, everybody had their different, the friends that were in the class from Turkey, like the whole idea even of der, die, das, it's like, it's heartbreaking to them. They're like, what? And, but it's beautiful when we think about culture and we think about embracing the diversity of it and the richness and how much we lose when we lose a culture or we lose a language as humanity. It's huge. It is a huge loss. And that's also something that we're reckoning with in our time. But what's beautiful is that when we all come together in this culture, which of course here we are in Deutschland, here we are in Berlin, and people from Senegal, United States, Turkey, Iran, and Spain are all speaking German together. Also, what does that then bring to this culture? This is when things, to me, like life becomes exciting. And then again, these possibilities, like the possibility that's not just within me and within you and within our relationship, but the possibility of humanity. It just opens up when I honor your German culture. I also honor the culture that you have learned from Spain and from Guatemala and Peru. And you honor the American culture that I have, and also the knowledge of the Lakota people that I have gained. But then we come together and we honor this culture in which we're living in. And to me, this is, I think, humanity, we're at this crossroads now, that we have to find this place all together.
Yeah.
And that's also, again, there's just the possibilities are endless and life becomes so full and exciting. So.
That's so, wow. Thank you. It's a good introduction also for like the journey where this podcast is going. But I feel like also generally also in the future, I want to pick up on the part where you talked about language, because I feel when you get into a culture, that happened to me in Peru. In the beginning, I didn't really speak fluently Spanish, and until I actually started to grasp the language, I couldn't really dive into this part where I'm like, do I really understand them? Like even the way how they make jokes. Also another chapter.
Oh, yes,
it's like as you said, like it's a hot topic because culture is so. This is such a huge topic, and at the same time, it's what makes us diverse. This is what makes us come together and be astonished about, wow, and instead of sometimes being threatened, what happens so often nowadays in so many cultures, across borders, within countries, instead of being like, wow, you're different than me, like being curious again and being like, okay, wow, we maybe don't understand each other's languages. So how do you mean that? Like asking questions again, going to this being like a child again. Yeah. This is what I would so wish for everyone, and to let sometimes go this even I want to say arrogance of being like, I know. It's like, what happens if you don't? And maybe this is so cool because it opens you up this space of discovering something, and it broadens your horizon, and it actually gives you the possibility to see the other human being in front of you.
Exactly.
As a human being, and not as like, oh, you are American, no, all these categories.
Well, I love that you used the word astonished. I love that word. We can talk about the English language, and that's a beautiful word in the English language, to be astonished. But also, I love what you said about questions, and we always feel like we have the answers. And this is when the great German poet Rilke always talked about living the questions. And so also,
do we have let's look up while we are here into das ist Rainer Maria Rilke, den kennt ihr vielleicht. Das war toll. because Kendy did also in her course, we were reading poems. And it's interesting because you made me actually realize that, wow, these guys wrote these, let's say, these melodies flowing into each other, and it creates like a song, a resonance in you. It's so beautiful. I'm like, since then I actually started to look up poems again, and my grandma always sent me poems. And I was like looking through my box of letters from my grandma, and it's a lot of poems she sent me, and I couldn't appreciate it. And I just was like, wow. And there was like also Rainer.
Yeah.
Do we have what was it? Fragen, you said, no? Questions?
Living the questions.
Living the questions.
I actually, to be honest, I don't know if it was.
It's a quote.
Yeah, I believe it was from
like,
Letters to a Young Poet, which, I mean, if there's a book I can recommend, it would be that book to any person. But yeah, to live those questions.
Look at this. Can I read it out?
Please.
Whoa, shoot. Now this is so...
We're back.
Hi, we're back, guys. I know we are like jumping in and out into the picture, but you hear us. I want to beg you, as much as I can, dear sir, or dear madam, to be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and to try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books that are written in a foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers, which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything, live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. That's really nice.
I think it's all there. I think everything you need to know about life is right there.
Well, that's it. That was the first and the last podcast episode.
No. There is so much more.
Stay curious.
Yeah, but I think when we speak of culture, it is about these questions, you know?
Absolutely.
And it can be from the simple, you know, I mean, this is a joke. I hope people take it as a joke. But like the simple, like, why don't you bag groceries here for me? Like, why do I have to do it myself? You know what I mean? Like, you know, instead of just being like, oh, well, I get nervous and stressed out and everybody's behind me. It's like, you know, just ask the question. Like, well, why wouldn't you just take it?
You adapted to our culture. So you're like, guys, by the way, it's a joke. I don't mean it serious. I don't want to be personal right now.
No.
Thank you for preparing my German community.
Always. Hey, but you know, it is also my ancestors all come from Germany. So, you know, it's always been beautiful to feel like I've come back, you know, which is also another whole other topic. But
this is what makes, if I can jump into that for a second, what makes this whole discussion also about cultural appropriation, you know, like the question of like, what is mine, and I have had a lot of discussions, especially my time in Peru, like the question from how much are we allowed to take, for example, wisdom and certain traditions towards our cultures. And what I found out, at least that's my answer, there's a hunger, especially in Europe, with the pain of like having lost for many, many different reasons. Also, of course, there's our history and the way we were forwarding towards other other countries and cultures. But like the loss of our own very, very old traditions. And I feel like it's a time right now in society where we like get all of this wisdom back, and we start where this wisdom is still existing. And
you just said it really, really beautifully. I think that is a beautiful way to look at it. I mean, of course, cultural appropriation is happening, and it's terrible. I love to use indigenous wisdom in their songs and always honor them, honor the people that they have shared this with me. For example, the Algonquin people, the women there, they have this beautiful water song. And this water song, they actually are asking people all over the world to sing this song and to share this song, because they know that these words, this melody, the intention behind the water song, it is needed across the globe. And so, again, here we are humanity. And first and foremost, we have this similarity. And to be able then to sing one another's songs, I think it's really hard to war with someone that you're singing with. And I think that this is also the beauty of lullabies too.
You know that there's
Let's sing one another's songs.
Yes. I would like to share one more story.
Please,
because I have to decide, there's a story about the end. It was towards the end of the First World War. And there was the Christmas. And the soldiers actually took a break from being in war with each other. And they were all singing together. And it's quite touching, because it was this coming together, singing and having this break. And nobody actually wanted that.
Yeah.
And let's sing together. Let's wrap it up with a song for you guys.
Beautiful.
So yeah, let's go.
What shall we sing?
Yes, you are the one who guides. I'm going with you. Whatever you sing, I come along and come in.
Well, beautiful. If you want to sing with me, then maybe we should sing the water song. Would you guys like to hear the Algonquin water song?
Yes.
There's some beautiful people here.
They're coming in and out.
In and out.
Yes.
This is the way of the Insta. Let's sing it.
Yes.
So, and then if you're listening, you can sing along with us. Here we go. Nibi wapu endaen aki miskwi nibi wapu heya 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 hey heya 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 oh nibi wapu endaen aki miskwi nibi wapu heya 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 hey heya 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 oh.
Could do that all day long.
We could and we should.
We could and we should. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much for being here with me, and for sharing a part of your story, and for taking us into this beautiful world and also work with music. And for everyone out there who hasn't been singing or hasn't been in circles, feel into that and use your voices. It's so important. Sometimes I also feel like we talk, especially in the German culture, so much, and it's like when we would sing together, I think things would be, as you said also before, would be so easily resolved. Maybe that should be a new couples therapy. Maybe you already do that, singing with couples, and then it's like, okay. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm going to share also your Instagram and the workshops coming up.
Thank you.
And for everyone who wants to look on Instagram, it's Open Voice, and it's Kendy Gable with Gable. And I'm also going to put her now underneath on Instagram, so you can directly come over and check her out. Check it out. And you also have a new album, right?
We're in production now.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Those songs will be released throughout this year, and then the album in November.
Do you have a theme, or is it still secret?
Yeah, I do. It's very much about human connection and our connection to the natural world. And I'm asking a lot of questions.
I'm very thankful that you have joined today's episode. And if you want to know more about me, you can find me on Instagram at das Herz einer Frau, the heart of a woman, and also die Kakaohüterin, los guardianes del cacao, the guardians of cacao. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, and I see you next time.